Right, welcome to the channel. Hercules is going to be a massive part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe moving forwards. Apparently. Now this is kind of two-pronged, isn't it? Because a lot of people will say, no, Marvel has gone massively, woke. They're pushing females, it's the MCU and all this kind of stuff. And I would say, partially, but also not really. Because if you look at their mainstay of characters, a lot of it just seems to be pandering, like virtue signaling. It's really half-assed attempts to capture people's attention, basically. I mean, even prime example, right? Captain Marvel, painted as the next big thing, does bugger all in Endgame. Literally doesn't even have the second movie announced. Nothing. And yeah, we're getting Thor: Love and Thunder, and yes, there may be some elements that are creeping in, but the things that they really rallied behind are lacking, aren't they? So, it'll be interesting to see how it develops, but I think yes and no. So with respect to this, Marvel Studios doing Hercules, I can actually believe it. Because why wouldn't they? They seem to be half-assed with their approach on all of this. And again, I'm not saying it's good or bad, but they do seem to be, just sort of trudging along. So let's get into this, right? This is of course just rumour at this point in time. And before we do, if you're new here, consider hitting subscribe. Consider liking the video and, all that other good stuff that's associated with the channels and YouTube and this life on YouTube, I guess. So a brand new rumour indicates that Marvel Studios has big plans for Hercules as they move forward with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now the rumour comes from Mickey Sutton via Warren at the Cosmic Wonder YouTube channel. And basically, it's been noted that there's a lot of talk around Hercules and how he's going to be established in the Marvel Universe. Now, I do find this interesting because aren't we supposed to be getting something like this for DC? Are we not? It's funny, isn't it, how they kind of, they track over one another quite nicely. They sort of track over one another. I mean, I don't mind seeing Hercules moving forwards. I got no issue with it. Fine, I guess. But it's dependent on how they do it. I've long said that I really hate what they've done to Hulk in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Hulk is a very, very good character with a lot of depth, a lot of layers. There's duality between him and Banner. They could have done a lot. Even, what was his name? Mr. Fix-It? The Grey Hulk. I mean, there's so much you can do. Maestro, I think it was Maestro. There is so much you can do with Hulk. And they've just nerfed him. Just might as well have him in Scary Movie, it's my strong hand. Like, it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous what they've done to Hulk. So, do I have a lot of hope for the iteration of Hercules? Probably not. Because it's not going to be Hercules from the comics. You can guarantee that. Now, anyway, back in June, the CinemaSpot's Vicky DePledge speculated that Hercules could arrive in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as early as the Eternals, Loki, or even She-Hulk. Now, DePledge explained why he might show up in the Eternals. Eternals is already rumoured to include the Savage Lands, and the Eternals have some superficial ties to the gods of Olympus. I think that'd be the best time to introduce him. I don't see why not. And the comments on Loki, it makes perfect sense. She would then go on to say that he might show up in Loki because Loki is set to explore the reaches of the multiverse, taking place in the temporal limbo, and featuring an angel like Sarah. So introducing the Olympians wouldn't be out of the question. It makes sense. It makes an awful lot of sense. You're definitely not going to be seeing any of this, though, are you? Let's be honest. That's not what we're going to see. As for the She-Hulk, DePledge wrote that while it remains unknown if Amadeus Cho will be in the She-Hulk, the possibilities remains for him and Hercules to appear. I would imagine they're probably going to have Amadeus Cho, because again, they have nerfed Hulk, so it would make sense that they're going to introduce another Hulk-like character which they could potentially explore a little bit more without crippling him, basically. Before that rumour in June, Sutton had scooped that Hercules might show up in a Thor spin-off series based off Marvel Comics' Journey into Mystery series in December 2019. He would then detail that they're discussing having Beta Ray Bill and Hercules, who was introduced in Journey into Mystery Annual Number 1 in 1965, be the focus of certain story arcs, and the tales will take place in past and present. I would love a Beta Ray Bill. I'm sure many of you guys would as well. Now, so the new scoop, basically the new rumour involving Hercules, is that Marvel Studios' plans involving Hercules have evolved. So apparently, Cosmic Wonder is informed that Hercules was being discussed for Disney Plus, perhaps part of a Journey into Mystery show. As usual, plans evolve, and now talks are veering towards his own Disney Plus TV series, one that is again rooted in the history of Marvel Comics. Okay, good. Yeah, sure, I guess. Fine. Absolutely fine. Now, would then go on to say that Marvel Studios is looking at Bob Layton's 1982 Hercules run, and he would tell Cosmic Wonder, Mickey Sutton anyway, that the 1982 Hercules miniseries written and illustrated by Bob Layton reads like a blueprint of the MCU, the fast-paced mix of humour and adventure, enveloped in a cosmic wrapping of vintage Star Wars-like good times, was so ahead of its time, echoing the MCU work of James Gunn and Taika Waititi decades later. And that's the thing, if you're going to adapt anything, it has to be something which is adaptable for the current sort of format that they're running with. So I can believe that. Now, Sutton elaborated by saying that it's no surprise that Marvel Studios is looking at incorporating elements of this book for its potential Hercules show. However, it's not going to be a direct adaptation apparently, so he stated that whether it will be adapted or not remains to be seen. In the original comic, Hercules hilariously gets Galactus drunk, who was finally shown minus his helmet. So, such a goofball irreverence is straight out of the Gunn Waititi playbook, but it'll be up to Marvel Studios and the future showrunner to see how far it will go. It's unlikely that it will do a lot of stuff like that, but we will see. Disney's quite hot on what they do with it, so it's unlikely it'll be a straight adaptation, but it'll be close if that's what they're going to do anyway. So, yeah, not much else went into it. I mean, there was some other, commentary by other people that said, I'm hearing Feige is a big fan of the Bob Layton run of the Hercules, Prince of Power, and they want to adapt this for Disney Plus. So this is, these are other people that have heard other things. Whether it's just built off the same rumor or not, who knows? But they would also then go on to detail that basically Marvel Studios is doing research into a number of characters that show up in Layton's miniseries, including Recorder 417 and Skippy the Skrull. And they go on to detail that Artyom, who first appeared in The Incredible Hercules 121, is also on the research list. Fine, I guess. Absolutely fine. Sure. Artyom was originally a stone sculpture created by the Amazon queen Hippolyta, and then brought to life via a reversal of Gorgon's cure. She was supposed to use it in a new age of peace, but that dream would eventually die as Artyom would plot to take over the world after Olympus crumbled and fell. Later in the stream, they would also go on to claim that Marvel Studios is looking at spinning off Gilgamesh, played by Don Lee, from the Eternals film into his rumoured Hercules Disney Plus series. I mean, fine, whatever. All this stuff is fine. It's in the execution. Hercules could be really, really good, but I don't know. It's difficult to say, isn't it? I think the next few movies will identify whether they're really just, virtue signaling and they're half-arsing it, or whether they're going to go and actually just, make these things. He's also in the Eternals movie. He's played by the Korean actor. This looks to be a second spec that they are going to take this Gilgamesh, that is probably the same actor from the Eternals, and spin him off into the Hercules show, because he runs into Hercules in the comic book. So there is the connection there, not necessarily a connection with Thor, but using our powers of deduction, it looks like they're going to use Gilgamesh on the Disney Plus Hercules show. And this is the thing, they've got a lot of good people for these shows, so I can see, I've got no reason why they wouldn't have actual, named actors on board. Why wouldn't they? So there's not an awful lot else to go into with this. Basically, Hercules looks like he will be, in Marvel's plans moving forwards. What do you think, though? Would you like Hercules or not? Do you think this is good? Do you think this is bad? please do let me know down below in the comment section. Just straight up news and rumours today. Nothing else really to kind of dive into, you know, on sort of agendas and things like that. But I'd love to hear your thoughts, so please do let me know. If you're new here, like I said at the start, hit subscribe, turn the bell notifications on to all, and hit like on the video to help the channel out. I've got a Teespring store linked under the video as well. But anyway, thanks so much. Take care.